Hey folks, here we are for Game 4 with the Thrasios and Kydele Simic Storm list, and we have a new lot of commanders we're fighting. Riz the Redeemed, Demon Lord Belzenlock, never seen this one before, is a new card. Seems pretty interesting. And this card, which is sweet, I love Muldrotha. Probably my favorite card that was printed in Dominaria, period. And just look at this guy, he's awesome. Art is great, and the effect is very great. This may currently be the best bug color commander for combo. There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. You can like Buried Alive to get Walking Ballista and Phyrexian Devourer and Necrotic Ooze, and then you can just play Necrotic Ooze from your graveyard. That all happens the turn after Muldrotha comes in play. If you have 7 lands, 6 to player, and then 3 for Buried Alive, 4 for Necrotic Ooze. Seems pretty good. And I was excited to see this commander in action. So here we have I won the die roll, and I have a somewhat keepable hand. It seems okay. It's not the best hand I've ever seen, but it has lands, it has a little bit of fast mana, it's got a Voltaic Key for the future, and a little bit of card draw. And I drew Trading Grounds, and I decided to play that turn 1. Reason being is that if I play Voltaic Key turn 1, my turn 2 play is Mind Stone, and it creates colorless mana, so I will not be able to play Training Grounds. So I decided to play it on turn 1 so that on turn 2 I can play Mind Stone into Voltaic Key. And that is the most efficient use of my mana. Riz goes turn 1 Riz, of course. And this guy puts a Prey counter on Riz with this thing right here. It's pretty cool. Never seen this card before, but you can pay 1 to put a Prey counter on a target creature, and then whenever you cast it, it destroys all the creatures your opponents control with a Prey counter on it. Not too bad. 6 mana, 6/6. With Death Touch, and it destroys things. Pretty good deal there. This player just plays a land, taps it, and passes. I get my breeding pool because I like islands more than forests, and both of these lands only fetch forests. So now the green fetches from here on out are pretty limited. The green fetches will only be getting a forest or a Dryad Arbor. I play Voltaic Key and Mind Stone as predicted. Riz player, I think, attacks this guy who put a Prey counter on his creature. And he cycles a Polluted Mire. And this player just taps out again. I think he's having land issues over there. He has 2 islands and he's a 3-color deck. He's probably missing a color or more than 1 color. So I drew a green fetch, or excuse me, I drew a regrowth, which I used to get my fetch land back because I didn't have much else to do this turn. I want to make sure to hit my land drops. And then I play Thrasios, with having Training Grounds in play means that I can start drawing some cards here soon. Riz plays a Cultivate, getting a Forest and a Plains, and attacks. This guy, again, Demon Lord Belzenlock. Alright. He puts a Prey counter on my Thrasios, which is fine. And then just taps all of his lands again. This player does the same thing. Now he plays a colorless land, which is a pretty sweet colorless land, but again, he's off of his colors. I think he's having some trouble over there. I draw a Simic Signet, and I decide to play it. Setting up the best for future turns. And I'm leaving open Thirst for Knowledge and Swan Song while passing the turn. This guy plays a Garruk, can't do anything about that. And then he makes an Elf and untaps his lands. So he's setting up shop over there. This guy plays a Solemn, which is okay. I like Solemn. And this guy just taps out, which kind of sucks for him. He is way off of doing what he wants to do. So here I play Thirst for Knowledge, and I discard a land and a Deep Analysis, because Deep Analysis is cheaper when you play it from your graveyard. And I have quite a few other things to do here. I don't know if I want to Deep Analysis. Here I play Kydele, and I am setting up for the next turn. I'm leaving open Mystical Tutor, Swan Song, and Nature's Claim, some combination of these, depending on what I see fit on how this turn cycle goes. And he plays a Seedborn Muse, which means he is going to go ham here in a second. Like, he has his Garruk here to make a beast, and then he has his commander, which can make a copy of each token that's in play. So he's going to start powering out a ton of stuff. We might all be dead by the time he untaps on his next turn, depending on how many he can create. Here, because of the situation, I told him he's got to kill Riz. He needs to play this guy right here. Yes, it kills my Thrasios, which stinks. Like, I'm not happy about that, but it was the play that needed to happen. However, he chose to play Mutilate, which I was not a fan of. I did not want my Kydele to die, because I needed to be not summoning sick on my next turn if I want to do something powerful with all this stuff. So he plays Mutilate. So he did not take my advice, and I told him, hey, I told you what the play was, and he did not make it. So I Swan Song. I would not have been able to Swan Song this guy if he played it. So maybe he thought I was tricking him or something, and didn't want to do what I said. But it was the play. It was the best play to make, and considering he wanted to nuke my whole board, and he wasn't just satisfied with killing these two creatures, I decided I'm going to counter this Mutilate, because I will likely be able to go off before he gets to attack. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Here he makes a bunch of stuff, and he puts prey counters on the Seedborn Muse and my Kydele, which again I'm fine with. And he's probably a little salty about the fact that I countered that, but hey, that was on him. I told him what to do, he didn't do it. And I wasn't trying to command him to do something. I was just telling him what was probably in his best interest to do. Here, Moldrathah missed another land drop and just decided to pack it in, which stinks because I really wanted to see how this commander works. I think he said something about it was kind of like a budget build or something like that, but still, like, there's all sorts of sweet things you can do with this card, and I kind of wanted to see it in action. I have not yet. So here, I Mystical Tutor. He decides to make more creatures, so he's got lots of stuff in play, and I get High Tide because it goes great with my Time Spiral. And I decide not to cast Nature's Claim here, I don't think. Just float a bunch of mana, leave a little bit of blue in my pool. And he uses this opportunity. I'm glad he didn't try to strip mine me or something, because that probably would have been worse for me. He decides to just go ahead and tap out for no reason to make a bunch more tokens. So, I mean, he's got an army here. He probably will have enough to KO one of us by next turn, depending on what happens. I guess he cannot overrun with Garruk, but he can do stuff. So here, I Time Spiral, untap some lands, and I have a bunch of action. So I start with Mana Reflection, and then tap Kydele for 8, or with 8 counters on it for 16, which is pretty nice. And then here, I cast Frantic Search, discarding Nature's Claim and Flusterstorm. I just don't feel like I'm going to need a Flusterstorm versus 2 tapped out opponents. And all these other cards I can see being pretty useful. So I use this, and I untap my lands. He concedes. Just decides to pack it in, I guess. I don't remember him conceding right there. I hope this game doesn't bug like some of the other ones do. But here, I leave a little bit of blue mana open. I don't believe I've made my land drop yet, but I dump all of this into a giant Brain Geyser, leaving open enough lands to cast Dramatic Reversal to untap my stuff so that I can continue to do things after I draw with this Brain Geyser. So I draw 28 cards, which is definitely a decent amount. Here I play a land. I did not have a land drop this turn, so I maybe could have just tapped this too, but I didn't want to be too greedy. I just decided I'm going to try to do what I can with what I have and not try to overextend. Here I play a bunch of artifacts. My grip is pretty large here. So I play out all my artifact sources. I actually could create infinite colorless mana here with Basalt Monolith, but it's rather tedious, and I don't like to do that compared to other ways that I can win. I don't think it's necessary to do that here, so I just decide play out all my stuff and then cast Dramatic Reversal. Like, yes, I could go infinite here, but decide not to. So I have 80 colorless mana in my pool, because Kydele plus Mana Reflection is super fair interaction that allows you to make a reasonable amount of mana. So here I Fabricate for Aetherflux Reservoir, or Paradox Engine, rather. Just to make sure that there's no way that I could possibly fizzle from here. Play Lightning Greaves, net more mana. Here I'm only worried about creating green and blue mana now. I have so much colorless mana that it's not even worth tapping this anymore. I have more than what I will need to win the game. So I just decided that I'm going to continue to float green and blue with the Simic Signet, which is currently creating 2 green and 2 blue each time I tap it. So I Fabricate here for Aetherflux Reservoir. and I have lots of cards in hand. I have counter magic backup, multiple counters, I think. Yeah, I got a Cyclonic Rift if I want to do that. I don't really care about doing that right now. But I got Mental Misstep here, Mana Drain, Swan Song. So I'm feeling pretty good about my position. And yes, I cast Heartbeat of Spring and shoot my only opponent for 50 damage in the face with Aetherflux Reservoir. And I had enough gas here to go off a bunch of different ways. I could do Tidespout Tyrant Loops. I could do Mind Over Matter with Kydele to draw my deck. I also have enough mana right now to draw my deck with Mind Spring. There's just a lot of different things I could have done, but I just did what makes the most sense about just ending the game quickly. So that was it for this game. I hope you enjoyed.